Hello, it's just David here. For most of you, by the time we come across this, it'll be past the 19th of July, a time that we're moving to stage four of the restrictions, the sort of opening up. And I just thought I would sort of run through what that might mean for the church and for the churches. Um, first of all, I understand many people will be welcomed. It'll be seen next stage forward, particularly with the success of the vaccine programme. I also understand that for some people, it'll be a time a bit of nervousness, a bit of worry for various different reasons. Um, I think probably one of the overall sort of guiding principles is that that the government is opening up, but also is saying to a certain extent we have to learn to live with this, but also looking at businesses, institutions, individuals to kind of make some decisions for themselves. So as we'll see, there are some things that's probably wise to keep on doing in certain circumstances, but the government won't be telling us that we have to, and we risk prosecution if we don't. And I think whether you agree with that or not, that's a kind of philosophical question. But in a sense, it does mean more thought for us as individuals and as businesses, institutions, and organisations. Um, yeah, we have to kind of think a bit more. Now, I'm kind of for that because I'm not kind of for big government philosophically. However, I mean, it does mean, and it was much easier really when the government just told you what to do. And I know, whatever we do, I'm just aware, I just can't bear to look at sort of various bits of social media at the moment because, um, you know, clergy on social media are never very good. But when they're sort of slightly kind of pontificating about what they're doing and how there is only the right, theirs is the only right course of action, um, and then the next post is somebody else giving directly the opposite course and saying that theirs is the only right responsible course of action. So yeah, basically they're hiding to nothing and will do it wrong. So I'm going to tell you kind of where we are. I mean, a couple of things. I mean, I need to discuss it with my colleagues. I need to look at a bit more detail at the actual provision, but I kind of think we can kind of see the direction of travel. Um, and we'll try. I mean, I think sometimes there are slight difficulties in the buildings of different sizes, that sort of thing. But I think we'll try and sort of roughly do the same things in the Welland team. I mean, as we've done roughly all along, but I say there may be adjustments because of the size of a building or something like that. So things that are probably going to stay the same. I think we'll keep hand sanitizer at the doors, as no reason not to, and please carry on using that. Communion, I think we'll keep for the moment as sort of the present arrangement, one kind. You just come up, just have it given to you in your hand by as a priest with a mask, no wine, and then go back to your place. I think we'll keep that. And I think also again, it's difficult to kind of negotiate it. We'll keep the peace as a kind of waving to people outside of your household. I think at the moment. Um, but there are other things that change or will become optional. So, and probably the most difficult one is masks. And it's simple. We can't make you wear a mask anymore. I mean, somebody leading a service, you tend not to anyway. But I mean, coming in and out and during communion, I will continue wearing a mask, and I think many people will. So, you know, I think for lots of people, wearing a mask is something that they think is right and proper. So we kind of recommend it, I think, but we understand if it causes you a lot of distress and it's your personal choice, then we're not going to enforce that anymore. It's not mandatory. So masks will be up to you. We'll be able to sing, and I think lots of people are looking forward to that. And that's any sort of singing. So it's not just the choir, but the congregation. Anybody can sing and other forms of musical instruments, etc. All fine. So I think music just becomes freed up. I think quite a lot of people are looking forward to that. Um, what else? Yeah, social distancing. That's the one I think that may sort of, because I say that slightly depends on building. Um, I think again, I mean, there's no, it's not mandatory. You don't. Um, there's no limits on kind of how close people get to one another. I mean, already I've sort of seen, people saying, well, people ought to wear badges or lanyards, sort of red, orange, and green. And I mean, I think that just adds to the confusion. Um, but having said that, I think the kind of principle is right, and it does worry me, frankly, when people can't do it. I mean, I think if you're going to go and sit next to somebody, that's fine. You might want to go and sit next to your friends. That's absolutely fine. They might be pleased to see you. But I think just ask first. You know, I know it's an obvious thing, but people do find this very complicated. It's fine to go up to somebody and then say, "Look, excuse me, I'm looking for a seat. Do you mind if I come and sit next to you?" And if the person, yeah, that's fine, come and sit here, that's great. But if they say, "Look, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm just a bit kind of wary at the moment. Do you mind?" I think I think we ought to be able to do that. And I don't think sort of putting on stickers or lanyards or anything else is, in a way that becomes more difficult than just having a simple conversation. So I think just bear in mind others. There may be some people who, yeah, very happy and actually want, they want to come and sit next to you, a friend, they want to come and sit next to you. That's absolutely fine. And, both double jabbed or whatever. So that's fine. But it's just always being aware of sort of, yeah, that other people might feel less certain. So just needs to be a bit of a conversation. But again, we're not going to have any more sort of pews set out with you can sit here and you can't sit here or that sort of thing. Generally, we may do in one or two of the buildings where there's kind of real sort of limits on space and maybe particular events. But generally, kind of that's where we are. And I also think that's some of these things. That's where the world's going to be. I think probably the sort of approach I've outlined is going to be roughly, as I say, how the world is going to be. I mean, I think shops and pubs, etc., are not going to insist, and probably can't insist for commercial and legal reasons on a lot of extra precautions, but nonetheless will be kind of gently encouraging people to stay vigilant and just be thoughtful of others. So I think there's no point in a sense the church being very different from that. I think that's the world that we're going to live in. Of course, it may change. I mean, things may go either from the government or just from the public mood. They may go in opposite directions. I mean, if we suddenly found that every pub and shop was demanding people wore masks and kept 2 meters apart, we'd bring it back into church. I don't think they will. But yeah, it is going to be a bit of, yes, sort of thoughtfulness all round. So I just thought, I'd tell you kind of where we are on that. So yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say. It does mean some things are sort of opening up a bit. So obviously the worship will change that. When we are now having our summer evensongs, do look at the programme for those, because those will be a nice chance to have some music and to sing and we're thinking about hymns of the Bible. So we're actually looking at particularly some of those that are used in worship. For instance, when we have the Magnificat or Nunc Dimittis evensong, they are, those are biblical texts. They're songs in the Bible. So we're going to look at some of those because we're thinking about, the first time we're able to, sing for over a year. So we are thinking about songs and, where they come in the Bible and their importance. But always, and we'll have a glass of wine afterwards. And again, we'll probably, if it's a nice evening, we'll go outside anyway, because that's easier. I mean, okay, if it's pouring with rain, we'll stay in. But yeah, hopefully, most Sunday evenings will still be quite nice. So we can, yeah, just have a bit of sort of more sort of freedom to be outside. Okay, so I think that's kind of my message for this week. I say messages vary. Sometimes it's just what comes into my head. Sometimes they're a bit utilitarian. But I thought I would just chat you through the, what's likely to be after the 19th. I say it's not quite the 19th yet, so we're still yeah, working out the details. But that's where we'll be. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.